Hey guys, it is April from Getting Hugga With It. I wanted to share with you some books that I think that you would enjoy. So this is another rendition of my if you liked this book, you'd probably like this book, and you should probably go out and pick that one up. This video seemed to go really well the first time I did it, and I will link that somewhere up here and in the comments below. And so I wanted to do another rendition of it. First, I want to talk to you about The Husband's Secret by Liane Moriarty. This book, I personally just blew through. I loved this book. This is about a woman who goes rummaging in her attic and she stumbles upon this letter, and it says basically, don't open this unless I'm dead. And it's from her husband, and she calls her husband on the phone and she said, hey, I found this letter while I was cleaning up. And he's like, oh no, don't open it. I mean, I wrote it when we were first married and our baby was first born, and probably just don't open it. It's fine. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she opens it and she learns something about him that kind of changes everything. So if you liked The Husband's Secret, I would recommend that you read Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. Now stop everything before you go and dive into Pretty Girls thinking that it's going to be a very, very light mystery. This is not light at all. This is the most gritty, most violent thriller I've ever read, ever. But if you liked the mystery about a husband having the secret that's going to change everything in their lives, the Pretty Girls really ups the ante. This follows a woman whose husband dies, and she is clearing out his computer for his partner, his work partner. His work partner needs some stuff, and so she's clearing out the computer, and she stumbles upon some stuff that really brings her husband into a whole new light. I loved Pretty Girls, but again, huge warning, it's not in any way like The Husband's Secret in terms of tone, in terms of violence. It's just like The Husband's Secret to the max. So I've warned you, but I hope you read it. Next, I'd like to recommend Bird Box to you. Now, Bird Box is my very favorite horror book that I've ever read, ever. In my whole life. It's still number one. Bird Box is by Josh Mellerman. This is a book about a woman who has two children. She is stuck inside because there is something outside that when people see this something, they lose their minds, they begin murdering other people, and they inevitably kill themselves. So no one's going outside anymore. Everyone has been boarding up the walls and the windows so that they can't look outside. And she's actually training these children to be able to move in the world without using their sense of sight. So she's blindfolded, they're blindfolded, and she needs to leave. They're running out of food. She decides to take her children, blindfolded, and get into a boat into the river or stream or lake in the back of her house and look for a safe haven, essentially. It is so good. I was scared reading this book. And so if you liked Bird Box, first of all, if you haven't read Bird Box, stop everything right now and go and read it because I loved it. But if you really liked Bird Box, I would suggest that you read The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. This is a new book. It is coming out in June, and I adored this. This is now my second favorite horror book, and this follows a a young child, a little girl named Wen. She's playing outside. Her dads have rented a cottage, or they own a cottage, and she's outside. This man walks up to her, and he starts talking to her, and he seems friendly enough, and so she's, okay with it. And then he says, what's about to happen when isn't your fault, but we need your help to save the world. And he starts moving towards the house. She runs inside, and she and her dads try to barricade themselves inside to stop people from coming inside wielding very strange, malicious weapons. It's so disturbing. This is a super wonderful, disturbing book. But again, they both have this isolation and not being able to really communicate with the outside world, not really knowing what's going on in the outside world. And I just adored it. I adored it. I really, really recommend going and reading that if you like Bird Box. Next, I want to recommend The Joy Luck Club to you by Amy Tan. Now, The Joy Luck Club is a tale of 8 women, essentially. 4 of these women belong to the Joy Luck Club. They're Chinese women who get together every week and chat, and we learn about their stories. They've all come to San Francisco, I believe, from China, and we learn each of their stories in China and their journey over. And these 4 women have daughters, so we're also following these 4 daughters and their relationships with their mothers. This is actually a really wonderful book to read around Mother's Day. I really loved it. I called my mom after I read it and I said, "Mom, have you read The Joy Luck Club?" And she said, "Yes, of course I have." And of course she had. This is a really wonderful generational, family-driven story. And so if you enjoyed The Joy Luck Club, I would recommend a nonfiction book called Wild Swans. And Wild Swans follows 3 generations in China during the Mao regime. The Mao regime kind of put generations at odds with each other. There was a lot of encouragement of disrespecting your elders, and which is a massive change in the Chinese culture, I believe. And so you've got these 3 generations, and they're 3 different stories and how they interrelate and how one leads into another. And I was blown away. I had known nothing about the Mao regime before reading this, and I loved it. So I would highly recommend it to you. Okay, so finally, Annihilation. Annihilation might ring a bell right now because there's a movie out with Natalie Portman. So this is a kind of, I would say, a sci-fi horror book about these women who have to go to, I believe it's called Area X. So Area X is being explored, and there have been different groups who have gone to Area X to explore. None of these groups have come back well. Some of them have killed themselves. Some of them have disappeared. Some of them have come back a shadow of themselves. And so we have 4 women who are going into this area to try to understand what's going on. I believe many of them are scientists. They're there to explore the area from a scientific viewpoint, and it's really, really interesting. I wasn't blown away by Annihilation, but I liked it. And I think that if you enjoyed Annihilation, I would recommend Black Mad Wheel by Josh Malerman. I am a huge Josh Malerman fan, as you know, but Black Mad Wheel follows a band, and they're sent to, I think it's Africa, and I can't remember where in Africa, but they're sent by the army. They're sent to discover and get to the bottom and try to understand a particular noise. And this noise has been causing great havoc. Great havoc in the region. So much so that the military is involved. They're very concerned about it. And again, this is a mix between, I would say, science fiction and horror. And I just feel like those two are kind of like sister books. So those are all of the books I wanted to recommend to you. I hope that you enjoy this. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these and what you've thought of them. I would love to know, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.